Hey guys, it's Tom Box here and welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Purgatory! Now, I'm just going insane because I haven't had internet for like a week and it's really putting me on edge. So while I go insane, we're gonna showcase 10 of the once legal infinite loops in the game's history. Some of these combos have long-lasting impacts towards how the designers design card effects so that they have a lot more limitations to avoid these situations. And each time one of these loops go off, the player on the receiving end dies a little inside, just like how I'm dying without internet right now, guys. Since we're talking about infinite loops, these combos basically have no limitations on how many times it can be performed, or even if it does have a limitation, it is irrelevant as it will be able to perform its task and complete it before the deck runs out of juice. Now, not to be mistaken with an illegal loop, these loops and moves, they are legal plays that you're able to do as they do advance the game state forward rather than putting you into mechanic hell. So we're gonna talk about it and demo it from right at the very beginning. Number 1, Chaos Emperor Yata lock. This definitely qualifies as an infinite loop because one person is basically performing the same action over and over again. Although not within the same turn, it's a loop that happens over a multitude of turns. So starting with the condition to set this up, you just need the ability to search out the Yata after the Chaos Emperor Dragon has used its effect. And once that has gone off, you normal summon the Yata and you punch your opponent. And since after a Chaos Emperor's effect, no one has a hand to play with, nor is there a field, they're basically stuck under purgatory. They're welcomed right here into my room right here. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, you eject the other player out of the game until they die. So that was one of the most broken messes, and as a result of that, a ban list came out with Yata on there and it has never been unbanned since, and then Chaos Emperor Dragon of course got banned for a very, very long time, and of course got an errata afterwards, and so that if you pop off Chaos Emperor Dragon now, no other effects can happen, so you can't search that Yata. Number 2, Dark Magician of Chaos loop. So D-Mock loop is pretty iconic at its time. It was played in Return Dad because you can set up Dark Arm Dragons for an OTK condition. You can draw your entire deck if you have a Cyber Valley, or if you have a Toon Cannon Soldier, you can burn your opponent to death. So you have Exodia, you have the burn condition, you have multiple FTKs, and you have OTK that can draw your entire deck and probably even set up Triple Solemn Judgment in the back row. So that was a very disgusting combo that you can do. How does it set up? You just need Spell Economics to remove the life point cost of spells, Dimension Fusion that allows you to revive every single banished monster, and thanks to Dark Magician of Chaos, who self-banishes, you get to loop those two cards indefinitely thanks to Spell Economics. And depending on what remover you have, if you have Cyber Valley, you get to draw indefinite cards. If you have Toon Cannon Soldier that was banished by Allure of Darkness per se, when you use the Dimension Fusion, you can revive it, and now you have the infinite burn loop. And as a result of this infinite loop of burning or drawing, D-Mock got banned and later on errata thanks to this, because now you can't add the spell immediately, because adding a spell immediately after a summon with a condition that's that easy, well, obviously it was busted, and Dimension Fusion was banned of course, and it will never come back. And yeah, so that's how they're slowly handling and building up the ban list. Number 3, Cactus Fighter loop. This loop is hilarious because this is one of my favorite loops to do back in the day when I was playing Scrub Tier Yu-Gi-Oh! Setup conditions very simple, Cactus Fighter and All Out Attack. Once you have both of these on the board, all you need to do is to ignite it, and to ignite it, you just need your opponent to declare an attack when they think they can destroy Cactus Fighter, or when they fail to do so because in damage step you flip a Shrink on them. Then you set up this loop, and once this loop kicks in, your opponent cannot leave the battle phase, because Cactus Fighter generates a token onto your opponent's side of the field in defense mode. However, All Out Attack will put that token back in attack mode, and it must attack. But since Cactus Fighter will generate a new token every single time it destroys a monster by battle, your opponent will get infinite amount of counters as those Cactus counters crash into each other. So this loop will be at the expense of your opponent's life points until it goes down to 0. So what has been done to this loop? Nothing, because this loop is super easy to avoid. Just don't declare an attack when you see a Cactus Fighter. Number 4, X-Saber Hand loop. This hand loop was pretty disgusting, as you can rip out the entire hand of your opponent in the very first turn if you're lucky. However, it was always an available option later on in the game anyways, back then when hand advantage was a very important thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where this deck was capable of ripping it all apart. The setup is very simple. You need a Gotems on the field, and you need 2 Faltros available in your hand, and maybe a Ragigura in the graveyard. Now once you have that Ragigura will add back the fall trolls that you sent to the graveyard thanks to Gotham's cost. And because you have 2, and since Fall Troll does not have a once per turn summoning condition, you're able to loop the whole thing together. 1 card adds it back to hand, 1 card special summons out the Ragigura, and 1 card basically gets special summoned back onto the field. And the effect of Fall Troll, since it's an ignition effect, you can wait till you get rid of the 2 cards you don't need, and then you just revive the card and bring the other card back. Special summon, get rid of the other 2, and basically rinse and repeat. Every single time that happens, you're not really burning into any more resources, so your opponent's just losing hands, and even if they have any kind of hand trap, it doesn't really matter at this point because they're just gonna die the next turn because these guys are not exactly very small. As a result, a lot more of the monsters coming forward, they have a once per turn special summoning clause where you can't special summon more than 1 copy of them based on their own effect. And overall, this entire loop is still technically possible, but it kind of got power crept thanks to the introduction of many other hand traps. Number 5, Infinite Life. So Infinite Life combo is set up with Rainbow Life and X-Saber Palomuro. You need 2 copies of it, 1 in the graveyard and 1 on the field. The one in the graveyard is going to special summon itself whenever another Saber monster is destroyed by battle, or destroyed in some form, I think. I can't really remember. But regardless, you have 2 of them, and basically you just keep crashing them into your opponent's monsters until you have enough life points thanks to Rainbow Life. You discard a card and every single type of damage you take for the turn becomes life gain. So there is a slight condition, is that you need your opponent's monster to have more than 700 attack points. You need to have a lot of attack points on that monster, 700 guys, and then you can basically get this infinite life, because Palomuro needs to pay 500 life points every time he wants to summon himself back out, and that's something that Rainbow Life can't take away. So if they have a 1900 beat stick, you just keep crashing it. And Palomuro only has 200 attack points, so in other words, 200, 500, you need to be able to generate a little bit more than that. So 800, you gain 100 per turn. Anything more than that, it's pretty insane. So yeah, you can basically just keep doing it. Just look at that. Stupid, right? This is really stupid. And as a result of this, Rainbow Life is banned at Worlds at every single list, I think. Yeah, I don't think there's been a Worlds list where someone's able to play Rainbow Life, because setting up a lot of life is pretty easy, if you ask me. It's pretty easy to get to that point. And if it gets to that point, no one wants to watch a Worlds game where one player is just sitting there attacking with Rainbow Life until one player just scoops. And here's the thing, if your opponent's not scooping, well, they're going to lose in time now, because I think 1 billion life points is definitely more than 8,000. So here's a little brain teaser for you guys with 2 infinite loops. We have the Cactus Fighter loop with the Rainbow Life. So once you got both of these on the field, if the player has established an all-out attack and a Cactus Fighter, and you decide to go summon out Palomuro and try to do your combo, is it legal to activate that Rainbow Life? Or if you have activated Rainbow Life, are you able to declare the attack? Because once you declare an attack, you are basically stuck in a forever loop where the person that activated Rainbow Life is constantly gaining life. So to some degree, he's advancing some level of game state where he's only getting infinite life. Neither player can exit the battle phase because the token will now generate the life points, as the token will keep on crashing and crashing. Even if you stop using Palomuro, the mandatory effect of Cactus Fighter will generate that token. So you're not exactly in a good position. So is the move illegal? So at which point are which moves illegal? So that's something that I'm asking you guys. Number 6, Samurai Infinite Bushido counter. So for this combo, it's fairly simple and made a lot of people quit Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, because you can generate Infinite Bushido counter. You can basically search out your entire deck and generate infinite attack thanks to Gateway. And Gateway was a pretty busted card. All you need to do with the setup is you need 2 Gateway of the 6 Samurai. Or you need Gateway and another ability to generate another 2 Bushido counter, netting a total of 4 per summon. So you use Mizuho and Shinai, and you just need another Mizuho or Shinai. So you need 2 copies of one of them, and then you can do this loop where you would have Mizuho tribute Shinai to pop herself, and then Shinai will add back the Mizuho from the graveyard. So once you have the Mizuho back in your hand, if you already have a Shinai on the board, you just special summon out the Shinai. If you have a Mizuho on the board, we'll use Gateway to add back the graveyard Shinai back to your hand, and then special summon out that Shinai back out, which gives you access back to Mizuho. Every single time you do this loop, you generate an additional 4 Bushido counters, and you can search out your entire deck. If you have the ability to summon out Shion Squire out of the deck somehow, do it. And then maybe you just use Foolish Burial or something like that. Just throw them into the graveyard, because the remove 6 effect lets you special summon a Shion monster out from the graveyard. And Squire is a tuner, which gives you Kizan plus Squire turning into Shion. You can turn 3 Shions onto the board really easily with this combo, and generate infinite counters. The infinite counters, you can just boost the Shion up to like 1,000,000 attack, and then you just attack for game. And your opponent can't even use Magical Cylinder against this combo. So yeah, it's all fun and games until someone does this. As a result, of course, Gateway got banned. And it's been one of those cards that TCG players wanted back for a very long time. It's back, but right now there's a lot of hand traps too. Number 7, the king of loops, Deloran. So Deloran has so many variants of loops. I'm just showcasing one of them, but this card is able to bounce back face-up cards on the field back to the hand. That's basically all it did. But when you combine it with a card like Pre-Errata Grand Soil, which is basically Monster Reborn, you're literally bouncing Monster Reborn and reusing over and over again. And if Deloran gets sent to the graveyard, you can revive it with that same Grand Soil and bounce that thing back. And therefore, if you're able to generate a summoning combo with it, say if you go into Mist Valley Shaman, which also has a bounce effect combined with the Grand Soil, you're able to do the summon triple Deloran and bounce back the Grand Soil over and over again. It was pretty ridiculous. There's Infernity combos with it. There is Coelacanth combo with it. It was its own thing at its time, which, as a result, it placed Deloran on the ban list, of course. It got limited, and also put Symbol of Heritage down to 1 at some point, because you were able to put 3 Delorans in grave, and Symbol of Heritage can be bounced back, and you can revive it infinitely. Every single time you got rid of every Deloran, you just play Symbol of Heritage, bounce it back, and your combo starts all over again. Number 8, Infernity Infinite Trishula loop. So this loop was really degenerate, really not fun for a lot of people. Let's be honest here. While Bryanak was still available, I'm not sure if this was available in TCG at the time, but regardless, what happened is that you have multiple levels of setup that eventually leads into an infinite loop, depending on the resource of what you draw in your deck, of course, because you need Infernity cards in the deck. If your whole deck is Infinities, you'll be fine. But the loop basically works around 3 cards in the beginning. You need an Infernity Archfiend in the graveyard, Necromancer, and Avenger. And these cards are pretty broken even during the Link formats, where you're still able to set up Trish and all that stuff, and you have that Infernity FTK. But that's kind of deviating aside. Let's go back into this one. It's fairly simple. You start off by making 100 Eyes Dragon, and then using Archfiend, you're net plussing 1 card every single time you use the Archfiend. And because of that, you can get your launcher. You can basically set up all the other cards. So the setup are set up in phases. Phase 1, triple Necromancer in the graveyard. You recycle Leviair constantly, and you put a Bryanak on the board to kind of get that set up. And every single time you're done using one of your monsters, especially your Link monsters, you shuffle that back into the extra deck through the use of the effect of Bryanak. Since Bryanak is not once per turn, you are able to do that, and you basically cycle out a bunch of 100 Eyes Dragons. 100 Eyes copy the effect of Mirage, and Mirage gets revived through Leviair. That's kind of the bread and butter right there to kind of get things going. And then when you put out 2 Archfiends on the board, you go into Dagestor Emerald, shuffle those things back in. The extra card you get will eventually be used to shuffle more monsters back when you got the Bryanak on board. And basically you cycle to the point where first step, triple Infernity Necromancer, second step, shuffle back the 100 Eyes Dragons that you've been using, and also fetching your Infernity Beetle, which will be your level 2 tuner. And once you got your level 2 tuner, when you do the second cycle now, you can actually make a Trish along the way. And then once you get that Trish, then you try to go back to this point where you have 1 Bryanak and you have 1 copy of Mirage on board, and everything's still in the graveyard, nothing is banished, and your 2 copies of 100 Eyes Dragon, they're both in the extra deck, and you just basically do this loop over and over and over again until your opponent's dead. Oh, but yeah, also you get Infernity Barrier. As a result, Infernity gets quite murdered in the ban list. Bryanak got banned. there's just a lot of things that just wasn't standing. Of course, Daigusto Emerald eventually got banned, but I don't think Emerald was related to this particular combo. Number 9, Firewall Loop. So Firewall Loop, I don't think I really need to talk too much about it since it happened pretty recently, but for those of you guys who are watching in the distant future, Firewall was not once per turn and has ability to generate like the infinite summon. You just combine it with a Cannon Soldier and you have the Grapha in the graveyard plus a Dark World monster that gets summoned out, bounce back, you burn off the Grapha, monster comes back out, you get this infinite burn loop. This setup was pretty difficult to some degree, however, one Armageddon Knight is capable of setting the whole thing up as long as you know the combo. It kind of reminds me of the Demok burn combo because it kind of functions in a very similar manner where once the whole combo is set up, you just recycle the same cards over and over again. So the whole point is, how do you get that setup? And Armageddon Knight was the one card access to the entire setup, which was pretty ridiculous. This is one of the variants that I was trying to execute on the combo, and you guys can just watch it just play out. Number 10, Red Eye's Jelly Loop. So this one is a very recent one where your opponent basically gives you a negated Jellin duel onto your side of the field. It's very important that they give it to you because it will cause you to burn life on every single effect activation. And thanks to its mandatory effect, you don't even get the option to kind of stop it. So Jellin duel has a self-destructing effect where whenever you take damage, it will try to blow itself up. Okay. Now that that's established, since it's negated, it will never be able to do so. However, as a mandatory effect, it will always try to activate. Then your opponent puts up a Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon onto their side of the field. And I think you kind of know where this goes. Whenever your opponent activates a card, it will try to burn you, and it will burn you. And because it will burn, your monster will try to destruct and activate. And because you try to activate and destruct, it will burn you some more. And you're in this endless cycle until your life point drains to 0. Unless, of course, you have Rainbow Life where you can gain infinite life, and that would be hilarious. I don't know if that's a legal play still. So how do you actually set that up? Well, you can watch this play where this player uses Gem Knight to set it up, with Seraphonite being the fairy anchor pointed to summon Sork, and summon Sork and summon the Jellin duel onto the opposing side thanks to that particular effect. And then using Gem Knight, I guess the fire, or not the fire fusion, the pyro fusion, you can go into the Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon, and then using Cowboy, he ignited the Spark, and literally you can use any sort of burn card to kind of spark that whole combo into play, and you'll generate that infinite loop. And yeah, that's something that happened to me, and I was basically on the receiving end of this, so I thought it was pretty cool, and it was done so without Firewall, so that was, I guess, I kind of appreciated being burned to death like this. I thought it was pretty clever, but it's also like another form of a Gem Knight FTK. Well, that's all I got for this video, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. How much of your soul is left? I don't know. You guys tell me. Leave it down in the comment section below. If I missed any other infinite loop, leave it down there. Not like wind up loop, or not like just those mini hand loops. Like things that you can do basically as long as you need to. Leave it down there if I missed any of them. Appreciate to read up and learn some more of these crazy things as I go crazy without internet. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit me up with a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Smash it, destroy it. And, well, I guess I'll proceed to the end phase now. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.